Welcome to Market Insights. This is October the 29th. We're going to call this issue Feeding Bulls Fists of 50s. In this issue, we're going to talk about a little bit of the canola bulls and bears, an inflationary market that we're entering into, and picking a market top. We're going to go all through this stuff here. It's going to be relatively quick, so stay tuned. Let's get going. Market thoughts. We are entering into what I would consider more of an inflationary market. And that, I believe, is a real different beast than your old standard bull market, which is more supply and demand driven, right? U.S. government states that we're running at only about 5% year over year on the inflation, and some places are saying it's even lower than that. Yet independent sources are easily claiming it's closer to 10%, and it's probably even higher than that. As you all know, our prices for our crops have doubled in this last year or so. We're at $20 canola, or 22 now. But last year we were at 10 and everything, and barley the same thing. We were at 4, now we're at 8 1/4, 8.50, almost 9. So supply and demand does play an important role, but this market is much bigger than just your regular supply and demand in your crop. In simplest terms, there's trillions upon trillions of dollars, and they're all looking for a home right now. The real supply and demand equation has nothing to do with crops and everything to do with money. And this is a global system right now, right? How much money's been pumped in there. So once again, we're just going to follow the money and see where it leads us. And why does this matter to you? This is really important. Risk management becomes even more critical. This is because of the magnitude of the unknown. Basically, the market can move super fast against you, and we're seeing that right now. If you look at the canola, we've easily seen 50-cent moves in a day. That's not unheard of at all in the last year. So that's big money on the farm, right? When we have an inflationary market, what's the government going to do? They're not going to make things any better. They're going to make things worse. I don't need any explanations on that. So we're going to the next one. Capital needed. Just because you had $1 million operating loan last year doesn't mean that will be sufficient for this year. You maybe need 2. You might want to be talking to your banker right now just to see what's going on if you can get more money. Another problem with this inflationary market is called this FOMO, or fear of missing out, and that becomes even a greater problem. I know most farmers are like, oh, if I just hold it, it's going to go higher, and sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't on normal years, but typically the risk isn't too great, right? But right now, you don't do anything and you're making money. It's in the bank. And then the problem comes when, boom, it's over and the market just falls apart. And we don't know how low it goes or how high it goes. But everybody gets hogtied and they don't want to do anything on this fear of missing out. Miss it on the highest price, right? So there's real importance of a plan and staying up to date with the markets. I mean, there's a lot going on right now, and you got to learn how to be a disciplined seller. You got to know what you need, what you want, and then pull the pin on that stuff, because you'll become out way more successful long term in these kind of markets. You can remove that massive risk. So inflationary markets are really hard to trade because they're very deceptive. It's hard to gauge market tops as the market is trying to find a new equilibrium. And the market is actually trying to figure out a new price for goods. And so oftentimes what will happen, it will way overshoot and then it will correct again. And if you look at the lumber chart, you know exactly what I'm talking about. It went to 400, up to 1600, and now it's down to 600. Hopefully it doesn't go up to 1600 again. That's not good for anybody, right? So this is really hard on you guys as prairie farmers that did not have a very good crop this year. Trying to figure out that top. Is the market in the process of overshooting right now, or is this an actual supply and demand issue? That's a good question to ask yourself. So what this really means is that we have an old supply and demand mentality coupled with an inflationary market, and that's a real scenario for basically craziness, right? Everybody's looking outside the window and they see that they had no crop. The market is saying, we got to find a new price plateau. Let's figure it out. And the market just goes crazy because it's trying to figure this out. Couple that with a mega supply issue. So it's very hard to figure these out. In fact, it's almost impossible to figure out the tops where it's going to go. You just look at 2008. how many people would have thought Minneapolis wheat would have gone to 25? Not too many. So back to your fun times here with your bulls and your bears. Let's go on your canola. Bullish, we have a low supply of canola. There's no getting around that. And there's an extremely strong veg oil market. I mean, palm oil market is on fire. They're at record highs. So that's pretty good for canola. One of the bearish news is we have actually negative crush margins. I've actually never seen that before since I started tracking it, but there we go. There could be demand rationing as things just get too expensive, and as the crush margins are negative, nobody wants to crush it. And there is a big soybean crop down in the States, so we all know soybeans is the dog that wags. It's a big dog in the whole thing, right? Barley, you know, overall world supplies are down across the board. Canada's are down significantly. Last year we produced around 10 million tons. This year they're saying 7. It's going to be less than that. The elevator system is short. There's no getting around that. They sold a lot of canola overseas, or not, sorry, canola, barley overseas last year, and they have to figure that problem out, and so they're aggressively buying if they can. Ethanol margins are at record highs, so that's going to keep a strong corn market, right? One of the bearish signals here are we do have a massive U.S. corn crop coming down the pipes, and they're harvesting it right now, so hopefully that works good for those guys. Another thing is corn is flooding into Canada, and that's going to be fed to cows, so or bulls or steers, right, into the feedlot world. So they're going to be feeding that instead of barley, but we still need barley for certain animals and for certain items, right? So barley is still going to be a strong market. Wheat, it's a bullish market, in my opinion. There's world supplies are tightening overall. Demand is super strong. I kind of think China had a bit of a crop wreck there. So if you want to ask me about that, you phone me. Bearish, I think there's honestly very few bearish signals in the wheat market right now. There may be some demand rationing, but overall I think wheat is very strong, right? Especially coming off of a La Nina year. So here's our quick chart. Here's your ethanol margins, guys. If you look at it, it goes back to 2017 and all the way up to right now, and it's the red line or the red thing that you want to look at there, and at the very right hand side is quite high, so they're making good money on this ethanol, so they're capitalizing on it as much as they can. So that's it for the market insights. It's trying to be quick, keep you guys informed, and if you guys are looking to upgrade your grain marketing to even more information, I do offer another product called the Grain Navigator. It is a way more detailed type publication, similar to the grain or market insights that you just watched. It's designed to help farmers make smart decisions regarding their grain marketing. It's primarily focused on the big picture and designed to remove all that market chatter and chaff. You guys know what I'm talking about. You guys get a million text messages every day of just prices and useless information that doesn't do any good, really, on the long term. You want to look at the big picture and see where to go in the next month, 2 months down the road, right? So with that, you can make informed marketing decisions, and we'll offer high quality analytics, right? So I go through and I do it all myself and try and figure it all out. So if you're looking to purchase that, it's a really good value. You just go to insightag.com, type that in, and then there's something called Grain Navigator. Click login/buy, and then you just click that, and then you go to the site, and then you scroll all the way to the bottom, and it says plans and pricing. You click that button, and then you just sign up. It's a good deal. So you should all do that. Anyways, here's a disclaimer. You can't get mad at me if I'm wrong. I guess that's what it says. So anyways, thanks a lot for spending those few minutes with me, and I hope you guys all have a good rest of your day. Thanks.